I think life is too short to suffer. And so I realized my happiness was really cheap. We've been hypnotized by our culture to settle for things. We've been hypnotized by our past to think of ourselves as being limited when we're not. And so the one that'll change your life more is the art of fulfillment. People really want is an extraordinary life, a magnificent life, which to me is life on your terms. Not Tony's terms, not your friend's terms, not even your spouse's terms. Like, what is going to light you up in this life? And once people know what that is, you need two skills to get there. There's something inside me that when I see somebody suffering, everything in me shows up. And over the decades, and it's been many decades, 39 years now, I've had so many experiences that nothing is going to surprise me now. There's only a limited number of patterns human beings have. And our patterns will make us angry or sad or suicidal, or they'll make us passionate or grateful or full of awe and beauty and love. And I know what those patterns are. So I have certainty because it's like, tying your shoes. People say, how do you get up and speak for 50 hours without any notes? Well, I've done it a few million times. And so, I'm confident in tying my shoes because I've done it so much. It's not like I'm so superhuman. It's like when you see someone who's the best in the world at what they do, they're being rewarded in public for what they've practiced millions of times in private.
For someone watching, if they find themselves, wow, I always seem to go into this funk, or I always seem to get myself into this state. Is there a way that we can break our own patterns that can be helpful?
There is. I think the first step is the awareness that it is a pattern, that it is not you. It's really hard to change yourself. It's easy to change a pattern. But when you've lived a pattern so often, we get the illusion that that's me, that I'm, a person that puts things off, I'm a procrastinator, or I'm, not aggressive, or whatever it is. And we have all these aspects of our life, some of which are more developed than others, but they're in there. So I think being aware of the pattern, its limit is step one. And then step two is breaking it. But people can break their pattern easily. They just don't, not only because they're in it, but because most people have never decided to say, I'm not going to tolerate this in myself anymore. So awareness is step one. Step two is raising the standard and going, this just isn't me. This is not what I stand for. This is not good for my kids. This is not good for my husband or wife. This is not good for the world. It's not good for me. And then putting a line in the sand that says, this ends here now. And then how to break your pattern. There's a million ways to break your pattern. I mean, all lasting change happens in an altered state. See, most of us think of hypnosis, like people say, you can't hypnotize me, and they're usually in a trance when they're telling me that. I don't hypnotize anybody, I de-hypnotize them. We've been hypnotized by our culture to settle for things. We've been hypnotized by our past to think of ourselves as being limited when we're not. And so what I really try to do is I alter people's state, because in an altered state, you'll do it. Just knowing, most of us know what doesn't work and what works. Most of us know when we're screwing up. Most of us know what we should do, but we don't do it. And the reason is because in that state of mind, you're not going to. So for decades, my obsession has been, what makes the difference in people, right? Why do some people, you give them everything, love, joy, tremendous education, economic well-being, and they end up going in and out of rehab all day long? How many actors, actresses, wealthy people have you seen do this? It's sad. And then there are people that life has just beat the hell out of, right? People have gone through physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional, spiritual abuse. And many of those people, rather than being broken, become so hungry, so driven, because they don't want anybody else to experience that. I'm an example of that they become masterful in things, right? But along the way, I was like, okay, so what am I really about? I said, my real mission is to help people get what they really want and help them have what I would call, you might say, I want to lose weight, I want to make more money, I want to have a better relationship. But what people really want is an extraordinary life, a magnificent life, which to me is life on your terms. Not Tony's terms, not your friend's terms, not even your spouse's terms. Like, what is going to light you up in this life? And once people know what that is, you need two skills to get there. One I've taught for decades, the science of achievement. And you know me well enough, and I know you well enough, that we both have been obsessive about finding the strategies that can help people get the result they want faster than they ever have. And you're brilliant at it, and I'm really good at it, and we have a lot of friends that are really good at it. But most people can figure that out. We can help them do it faster. And I think that's a great service, and I love being able to do that. And I love knowing answers that can help people so quickly. But it's a science to achieve, meaning if you look around and I wrote a book, I think about a year ago. I spent 4 years on it, and I wanted to answer the question, how do I help people financially in a world where most people are suffering? I don't have those answers. I have some answers. The people with the best answers, the ones you should go. If you want to achieve something, find somebody getting the result you want and model them. Success leaves clues. Go find out, right? My original teacher, Jim Rohn, taught me that. I never forgot it. So I went out and interviewed 50 of the smartest financial people in the world. Everybody from Warren Buffett, Carl Icahn, and I found the common patterns. If you live by these patterns, you'll have more than enough money. You may not be a billionaire, but you'll have more than enough money. If you violate these rules, the science, you're going to have too much month at the end of the money. You're going to be stressed out. Same thing with your body. We're all biochemically unique, but there are rules you and I both know scientifically that if we violate them, our energy drops. If we align, and we're going to have disease, we align with them, high energy. So that's the science of achievement. Get there quicker. How do you do it? One, obsess about what you want, right? Focus on it continuously. Have so much emotion about it that you take massive action. Keep changing your approach. Model somebody really great. And then with some grace, take some grace too. Some call it luck. Some call it God. If you do the first 3 steps, that 4th step usually kicks you over. But the more important lesson, and the one that I'm obsessed by getting into people's minds, I really appreciate me planting the seed with everybody. The one that'll change your life more is the art of fulfillment. And I say the art of fulfillment because what will turn you on, excite you, fulfill you is going to be different than this man here who I know is your friend behind the camera and this beautiful lady here. It doesn't matter how close we all still are fulfilled by slightly different things. And so what I really want is I believe that success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And I really want people to be fulfilled even more so because billionaires, that sounds ridiculous, but they're a dime a dozen. That's an exaggeration, meaning lots of people become billionaires. What's a hell of a lot more rare is someone who loves life every single day and stays happy when it doesn't go their way. There's nothing worse than an angry rich man, an angry rich woman. You want to slap them. It's like they have every benefit in life, but that's what the human mind does. The human brain is 2 million years old, and this is not designed to make you happy. It's designed to make you survive. And survival, it does it by fear. So what the brain does is looks for, what do I need to fight or flight from? And so it's always looking for what's wrong. And our minds can take us over unless your heart is what's running you. So what I try to do is show people how to shift that. And if you would have asked me a year and a half ago, do you suffer? I would suffer. I would like, what are you talking about, right? I have the most magnificent life. I've got 18 companies. We do 5 billion in sales in 7 different industries. I have a mission that I love that I do as much as I possibly can. I have 4 beautiful children. I have an incredible wife. I have total freedom. And I would be totally authentic in telling you all that. But I wouldn't use the word suffering, just like achievers don't think they have fear. Now, I've shared with you before, like stress is the achiever word for fear. I'm never fearful. I'm just stressed. Well, if I follow your stress, it'll take me to fear. So what I found is I suffered because suffering, there's only 2 states you can live in, 2 types. Beautiful states of being. Happiness would be one. But if you just try to be happy all the time, it's not real. Right? If some people smile so much their face hurts. It's a beautiful thing. But think of it this way. Beautiful states could be awe. It could be love. It could be passion. It could be a courageous moment. It could be being driven. It could be happy. But in those states, no one has to tell you what to do, and you always treat yourself and others in the right way, and no one has to tell you to, because in that state, you just do the right thing in those states. The other states we can live in are suffering states. So suffering would be frustration, anger, overwhelm, stress, worry, loneliness, depression. There's a range of them. And I wasn't depressed, but I'd be, of course, pissed off or frustrated, overwhelmed at times. And that's part of life.
Right.
Here's what I believe today. That's not part of life. That's the mind. That if you don't manage it, you can have everyone loving you. You can have those beautiful family. You can have 20 Academy Awards. You can have all the money you could spend, and you're still going to be in pain. So my invitation is to raise the bar on what we call suffering so you see it for what it is and to realize that you can free yourself from it. And it's not some ethereal, spiritual thing from India to do that. It's just, I think life is too short to suffer. And so I realized my happiness was really cheap. I'd be happy all the time, but then I would leave my happiness as soon as, this little device would go off because when you got 1,200 employees on 3 continents, what are the chances someone is screwing up right now? If I'm willing to give my happiness up for that, because I think everything has to be a certain way. I think people have to behave a certain way so that we can change the world. All this internal pressure that I have to make everything perfect all the time, help everybody, before I die, whatever is in the back of my head there. And what I began to realize is I'm not living when I let this take that away. This should be one of additional tools to connect me with times. And so now when that stuff happens, I just let it go. And that for an achiever, that's the hardest thought in your mind. Everything is a breakthrough, right? But problems need energy to live. And some things you just don't give them an energy. They're much easier to solve. Plus, it's easier to solve something in a beautiful state than in a pissed off, freaked out state. Now, some of us get pissed off and speeds us up and, we find the answers, but there's a better way. There's a more elegant way. There's a more beautiful way to live.